ladies and gentlemen of internet land. Welcome to Walking with Beau once again. Hope you enjoyed Woods Walk Gun Talk number 23, uploaded yesterday. Had a good discussion about the Trump assassination attempt with regard to bullet trajectories, bullet types, firearm type, optics, and whether or not I thought it was one shooter or not, which it was. Now, was he sent there by somebody? That we don't know, but I can tell you that he was extremely incompetent and didn't know what he was doing. That I do know. So, I was just watching an interview on Jesse Waters, President Trump and J.D. Vance together. Really good. The show is still on when I left for my walk, but it's getting dark, so I will catch the rest on a rebroadcast or something. But anyways, one thing President Trump seemed to be interested in was the officer that went to go up on the roof, and then he lost his grip and fell after the guy on the roof pointed a gun at him. He wanted to know why somebody wasn't notified through his radio that there was somebody with a gun, because moments after that he started shooting. And they probably had enough time to do a radio call or something. So we're trying to figure out, Trump wanted to know why nothing was done. Seemingly. Fair question, really, given what we know, right? So, things like that are what's going to be discussed. We'll get to the bottom of everything. But the big news, of course, Joe Biden. This is really bizarre, folks. Now, I'm not going to conspiracy theory this. I'm just going to tell you what I heard and what I know. You can put it with what you heard and what you know. So Joe Biden, as we know, it had been leaked to the media that the decision was made, and before the end of the weekend, Biden was going to step down. Well, that's what happened, isn't it? But he had to go get diagnosed with COVID first, right? So he gets diagnosed with COVID, goes away, climbs up on the plane, and that's the last anybody's ever seen of Joe Biden. It's been a few days now. And he called into Kamala's thing that she did today and said he was going to campaign for her and supported her and all this other stuff. Now, he sounded kind of strange. So I get no commentary on that. You know, maybe he's recovering from COVID. Sounds a little funny. And, but basically, the one that got me was a CBS News report. This woman was on CBS News, okay, reputable, and she's talking from outside the White House, and she's talking about Joe Biden's brother Jim, and how Jim Biden was expressing gratitude for Biden stepping down, doing the right thing for the country, putting the country before him. And this is what he said: "It's nice because now I can enjoy time with him, the time with him that he has left." And he said it just like that. The time that Joe Biden has left. What does that mean? Well, the most common thing you would think is that Biden was diagnosed with something, and they're not telling us. But the real issue is, we'll find out soon enough, obviously. Supposedly Biden's going to talk to the country Thursday. That's what he said before the weekend started, when they sent that, well, actually Sunday, when they sent that letter. He was stepping down, which is the other thing. The letter was released on social media. It wasn't on official letterhead. That's been established. And it was a digital copy of his signature. So maybe it was one of those things because he was sick. I don't know, but it looks pretty damn fishy to me. So we're going to find out about that. So basically what happened, to sum up all the BS for you and do a quick version of it, is Biden was polling terribly. This is what I believe happened. Okay? It's just what I believe. I'm not spreading misinformation. But I believe this was a setup all along to get rid of Joe Biden by setting him up on a debate stage. And we saw how bad he was. So they have been doing a good job with either medicalizing him or something, maybe giving him some speed, which helps with people that have dementia. It helps them keep their train of thought and focus more, like we saw at the State of the Union, because Biden's been like this for a while. And he was showing signs of it before he even was elected. So it's possible that they set him up because he was slipping very badly in the polls. They didn't feel like he was going to be reelected. The media was trying to fluff him up, say there's nothing wrong with him. People were asking questions. And they may have made a decision before the debate to hang Biden out to the dry and basically assassinate the president without a bullet, okay? Politically assassinate him. That's what it's called, political assassination. So, of course, we'll never know that unless somebody leaks it or whatever. I'm just speculating, okay? I'm not running around on the internet saying this is what happened. That's really bad. Don't do that. But if you're in a room full of people and you're having a discussion, this is what I will discuss. So keep in mind that that may be possible. Let's say even if it's not, okay? They took the opportunity to use it for a win. Right? They saw the polls after the debate. Holy crap, right? Really bad. Now 6 swing states turn into 12 that Biden has to fight for out of 50. Now simple math should tell you that's going to be very difficult. Then we get the Trump assassination attempt. Bang, you know. That's just going to bounce Trump in the polls, which it did. And now he is a hero. He's folklore. He is an iconic photo equal to Iwo Jima. So people can go ahead and hate me for that. But I can't think of any other photographs that iconic besides Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston in Lewiston, Maine here. The soldier, sailor kissing the nurse in Times Square on Victory in Europe Day, I believe it was. Or VJ Day, one or the other. It was a long time ago. I wasn't around, sorry. And very iconic photograph. This picture of Trump is going to be around forever, okay? And so the media this week even tried to equate Joe Biden having COVID, trying to say it's just as heroic as what Trump did. Of course, most of the country had a serious laugh at that they were even trying to pitch that. But these people are Looney Tunes. So anyway, so now Obama is pretty much the brain trust of the Democratic Party. He's the most savvy Democrat they have. He is smart. And he works with David Axelrod, who, by the way, also worked on the Obama campaign to get him elected. And he also worked on the Biden campaign, I believe. So he's a Democratic strategist. So I think what he did, quite honestly, with Obama, is they staged a soft coup. How would you do that? Well, it's basically political assassination, like I was talking about. It's like the assassination attempt on Trump failed, so we'll take out Biden instead. And so they started with the donors. It's always the money. The money, money, money. Obama, Pelosi, all the prominent big Democrats went and forced Biden to resign. And he did so when he had COVID. So a lot of people are speculating, which is conspiracy, by the way, that Biden is sicker than they're saying. And they're covering up his health. He may even be dead, some people have been saying. I don't believe that, but there is, I believe, a soft coup. And they're forcing the President of the United States out of office to install, and I say that seriously, install Kamala Harris. And they're trying to say, well, people voted for her in the primary. No, they voted for Joe Biden. They didn't vote for Kamala Harris. She should have her own voters choose her or not just them saying so. So basically this is a coronation, and they're installing Kamala Harris like a monarchy, non-democratically. The party that is going to save democracy by beating Donald Trump has now officially tried to lock up the political opponents, install a vice president as president, as the candidate, and they effectively have taken Joe out of the picture now. So of course there's going to be a short bump of enthusiasm with the Democrats, okay? They got rid of Joe, the albatross, the weight, the anchor around everybody's neck politically with policies, and replaced them with somebody just as popular. So what I've noticed in the media is they've been trying to push these fringe polls, like national GE polling, where they didn't have the poll with likely voters and the leaning. Okay, the leaning includes the independents. Trump is beating Kamala by 10 or 11 points today. Okay, 10 or 11 points with the leaning and likely voters. That's very important to distinguish, because you can do a poll and you can call somebody at random and ask them a question, but you don't know who you're talking to. You know, you have their phone number on a list. They're supposed to be Republican. Maybe they're not anymore. Nobody knows, okay? But when you're polling leaning means independents, or people that are not sure who they're going to vote for. Trump is beating Kamala by 11 points right now, today. And one poll I saw was 7 points, another one was 9, another one was 11, another one was 10. And these are the leaning and likely voters, which is a very important difference to make. Now you factor in Jill Stein, RFK Jr., and whatnot, and Trump is leading by 5 or 6 points because more people don't like Kamala Harris and they don't like Joe Biden, and they understand that Kamala Harris is basically the same person that championed the same policies they didn't like with Biden. So she's going to have to separate herself from Joe Biden, and how do you do that when you're the vice president for the guy that's still president? So I wasn't sure if they were really going to go with Kamala. I realized Joe Biden endorsed her, but that doesn't make her the candidate. They still have to go through and be approved by the party through a democratic process, supposedly, which it looks like they're trying to circumvent by installing Kamala. Now, their voters are not going to be happy with that. The younger ones, probably, because, you know, they're kind of Marxist anyway. Actually, not kind of, they are. And this younger generation of Democrats are basically revolutionaries, communists, neo-Marxist, whatever word you want to use for it. And so that's what's going on with that. It can't be hidden. So they're going to circumvent and usurp what the voters want and just try to excuse it as, well, you were going to vote for Kamala because you were going to vote for Joe anyway. So it's the same thing. They're on the same ticket, right? No. She's not on the same ticket with Biden now. She's the vice president and candidate for president if they make her that. Now, what do the rules say on that? Can somebody that's vice president campaign for office and keep their job in office? I don't think so. I don't think so. What are they going to do to fill the vice presidency? The Constitution dictates that the third in line for the White House is the House Speaker, which would be Mike Johnson, a Republican. And I looked it up today to verify that before my walk. 1796, okay? 1796, John Adams was running against a candidate, and John Adams won the presidency. He won the vote. The Electoral College was only in a few states. Something happened and something was screwed up. Because you have to remember, we were a new country. And we were only, let's see, we declared our independence in 1776. The Revolutionary War lasted a while. Then we officially did the Constitution in 1780 something. So we were a new country, and we had new rules, and people were learning, and they screwed up the Electoral College for the vice presidency. Not the presidency, but it got screwed up for the vice presidency. So he was disqualified. So while John Adams won the presidency, his vice president got the boot. Now, at the time, the political party in power was what was called the Democratic-Republican Party, okay, which later became the Republican Party. So, with Abraham Lincoln and all that. So anyway, the Democratic Republicans were in control of Congress. So Thomas Jefferson, the infamous Thomas Jefferson, who was always going at it with John Adams, they had disagreements politically, became the vice president. So you had a president, John Adams, who was from the Federalist Party after the demise of the Whigs. And so you had Thomas Jefferson as vice president and John Adams as president, 1796. So that's the last time that has happened, where you had two people from two different parties, and there were circumstances that led up to it. So now we're kind of like going into almost uncharted water, because like I said, it did happen before. And so what we're going to have is, I think, it's possible, constitutionally bound. Congress is going to have to decide what happens with the vice presidency, because that's the legislative branch of government, which usually has full authority on most things. So does Kamala Harris have to drop out as vice president to campaign to be president? Nobody's really answering that yet. It's just something I thought of, as far as I know. Because as far as I know, the Constitution's pretty clear, because I read it. I recommend everybody read the different amendments in the Constitution and the procedures. And so what happened was, Thomas Jefferson was approved by Congress to be vice president, because the Democratic Republicans had power in Congress, and they had constitutional authority to do that. So that's what they did, and the rest was history. That was the first big problem we had, and it was solved democratically. And so that was very interesting to read about. So the third in line for the presidency is the party that's in power in Congress, the Speaker of the House. Previously it was Nancy Pelosi, and right now it's Mike Johnson. So the Constitution dictates, if you lose the president, the vice president will assume, and then the Speaker of the House will be the vice president. So Biden is staying in power, and Kamala Harris apparently is going to stay in power as vice president. So I'm not sure constitutionally they could do that, but we'll find out, because scholars much more learned than myself, I'm sure, are going to point that out if they haven't already. Anyways, that should be really interesting to watch. So basically, the donors have decided the president has to go. The donors have picked who's going to be the replacement. George Soros is backing Kamala Harris, and that should tell you everything you need to know. So other billionaires have as well. And that's what we got going on there. We have the donor class, the elites, now deciding for the voters, and the voters are not going to be heard. Not one of you Democrat voters that voted in the primary, not one of you will have your vote count, because they're going to say, well, Joe Biden's the president, and what are you complaining about? Well, your delegates, more than half of them have stated that they're going to give their delegates to Joe Biden. Kamala Harris, excuse me, for her to be the candidate. We haven't heard from the other half of the delegates. They kind of need all of those. So I think some people right now are planning a struggle for power, and I think we're going to see them force an open primary, and I think somebody is going to try to assume power. Now, a lot of people suspected Joe Manchin was going to switch from independent to Democrat so he could try to get somewhere in the open primary, but he's already announced, I think today or yesterday, that he's not interested in that, and he's not going to do that. So Gavin Newsom has said he's not interested, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan has said she's not interested. And that would leave Pritzker in Illinois. And what's his name? Barry Bashiri or something. Excuse me, I forget his name. Of Kentucky, the governor of Kentucky, Democrat. He would be open to being vice president with Kamala Harris on that ticket. And there's also other people that are possible. Senator Mark Kelly, Arizona. I don't know if he would actually do that. We'll see. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. Tonight, Pelosi came out supporting Kamala Harris. So that was one of the big elites people were waiting to hear from. Obama issued a letter thanking Joe for everything he's done, saying he's a great man and was a good president. He mentioned nothing about Kamala. So, and make no mistake, Obama is the one that really pulls the strings with the DNC. And it's very important to note that he has not come out endorsing Kamala Harris. And you have to remember, a lot of these Democrats don't like Kamala Harris because she's arrogant, she's a ditz, she's stupid. And I don't say that lightly, but she's literally stupid. I mean, just listen to her talk. Talking today, stuff she was saying today. The country is not going to do 4 years of that. They're just not. And, you know, women don't like Kamala. They didn't like her when she was in the primary. So she's not going to get all this female support people think. She's not going to get a lot of the black vote people thought she would get. She's going to do about what Biden's doing right now after Biden lost black votes. So this all helps Trump. And make no mistake, okay? They are going to issue polls saying that there's only a point or two difference between Trump and Kamala. And it's more than that. Everybody knows it. This is what they're going to do. And this is the reason why they're doing it. The whole purpose of suppression polling is to make it look like to your voters and donors, the small dollar donors, I'm saying, that your candidate has a chance. If it's going to be a blowout, the money is going to dry up. And unfortunately, we don't have an honest system right now with regard to polling, as evidenced by polls being all over the place sometimes. But just use your gut feeling, intuition, combine totals of a whole bunch of polls, but pay attention to who gets polled. Okay? It's the leaners and the likely voters. Those are the important ones. These are the people that are actually going to vote. And in all of those polls, Trump is up 9, 10, 11 points on Kamala. So that's all I'm trying to say, okay? And Polymarket is another one that's interesting because they're kind of a company that plays odds, like betting. And a lot of politicians have been using it because it's been very accurate as a tool. They have it about 71% chance of Trump winning the election with Kamala. And it was about 80% with Biden. So Kamala does a little bit better than Biden, but not much. Not enough difference to make a difference, as Paul Harrell would say. And so with that, that's all I got to say with that. The Democrats are in trouble. Right now, they're enjoying a brief boost of relief that Joe is out. You're going to see polls before this weekend that are going to look like Kamala is tied with Trump or even ahead of him by a point. But, you know, I'm saying don't believe it, okay? It's BS. They want the weekend news cycle. The media is going to go right back in the tank for the Democrats. Everything Kamala Harris does is going to be gold, perfect, the greatest thing they've ever seen. And they're going to gaslight the country like they have been. They're going to protect Kamala from the fact that she knew how bad Joe was and said nothing. And a lot of people are urging Republicans to investigate that right away while we have time before the election to have hearings on who knew what, get people in there under oath, force Kamala Harris to ignore her subpoena, which is what she'll do. But they need to do that. That's going to be one of the central talking points in this coming election. It's going to be who knew what and why wasn't anything done about Joe Biden. What did they do to hide that? So anyway, the White House doctor released a statement saying today that Biden's COVID was just about cleared up. He's resuming presidential duties, he said, and he's capable of doing them, he said, which is nonsense. This is the same person that lied and said there's nothing wrong with Biden. So, you know, nothing wrong with him. Why is he stepping down? Because of his cognitive abilities that everybody knows he has. So he issued a statement and he said that his COVID was clear, just about. He's breathing room air fine. And he was given 10 doses of Paxlovid, it said. So that's what they said. Anyway, so this is going to be really interesting the next 2 months. And also keep in mind, okay, I could double check the date, but I believe Trump's sentencing for New York, as crazy as this is, I believe it didn't resonate with me at the time, but I think it's September 11th, isn't it? September 11th is Trump's sentencing in New York. So what is going to happen with that? Are they just going to go ahead and lock him up? What are they going to do? I don't think they will. Given the assassination attempt, I don't think that's going to play very good with voters at all if they do any kind of shenanigans like that. And Trump is now the candidate. The entire point of trying to prosecute Trump was to create a distaste in voters' mouths where they just wouldn't vote for a convicted felon. Which obviously there's still some people that probably would be voting for Trump that aren't, or they're unsure because of the conviction. Because they don't follow all this stuff like we do. You know? So we need something big to break between now and the election. An October surprise would be nice in Trump's favor this time. That would be nice. And so, I mean, talk about crazy, right? All the stuff that's going on. So we'll get this all sorted out. We'll get it sorted out. Beautiful night tonight. A little more humid than last night. It has not been hot here for the past 3 days, like the rest of the country has been cooking. We were cooking, but now we're not. So now it's nice. And I'm only sweating because I'm walking. But it's nice. So we got that stuff going on. Trump revealed in that interview on Jesse Waters that when he was down on the stage, after everything was secure, and it was that point where Trump was asking about his shoes. The reason why he asked about that was Secret Service wanted to do as a precaution to put him on a stretcher, Trump said tonight. They were telling him that on that pile when they were on top of him, because they didn't know if he was shot or not. You know, they were saying, you know, like, relax, sir, we're gonna get you on a stretcher, and Trump was like, no. That's when he stood up and pumped his hand up. He goes, I'm all right, I'm telling you. So, you know, you get these hateful little people like Bill Maher. Sometimes Bill Maher says really brilliant things, and then other times he just goes Trump derangement syndrome. He's got this thing about Trump that has taken over his brain. And he was talking about Trump's claim that he had blood on his hands. And he goes, I looked at that picture when he was underneath that pile of Secret Service. He does not have blood on his hand. Yes, he does. He's got blood on his middle finger. You can see it. What do you do when you get shot in the freaking face? You know, you put your hand on it to see if you still have your ear. I mean, that's freaking common sense. I don't understand why Bill Maher cannot begrudge one little piece of victimhood to Trump, right? Trump absolutely cannot be the victim. Ever. Not ever. With these people. It had to be glass from a teleprompter. It had to be this. It's like, come on, guys. So anyway, I'm going to go through all that again. These people are crazy. So that's what we got. We have a martyred hero for the working class, the little guy. Somebody else won a big election and won big in a socialist country. At the time was borderline socialist, and he ran on saving the country. That was Brazil. That was Bolsonaro. He got stabbed in the gut campaigning, had his intestine severed or damaged, and they had to remove a section of his intestine. And I believe he had a colostomy bag after that. So he got elected as a martyr because he got injured for the people. Now Trump, here's this guy, set for life. Whether he's got $500 million, billion, $3 billion, who cares, right? Point is, he doesn't have to do this. Go sit on his gold toilet seat, tweeting from his phone all day if he wanted to. And he opted to do this for us. For us. And in this interview with Jesse Waters again, he again commented on the followers at that rally not running for the exits. They stayed there to make sure Trump was okay. That's how important he is to us. And the left can go ahead and laugh at that, call us fanatics, mega lunatics, cults, members, whatever you want to call us. I don't care. And we're going to win. We're going to win. Now, the other thing in tonight's Jesse Waters interview with Trump is J.D. Vance was sitting there too. What a brilliant guy. This is the first time I really get to hear him talk. Very polite, smart, articulate, and he catches on to all the talking points. He actually interrupted Trump twice while Trump was talking to echo what Trump was saying in a way that people that make fun of Trump, they always say, who talks like that? Well, then J.D. Vance basically was talking about what Trump was talking about and said it in a way that all of these people that criticize Trump all the time would understand it. The freaking guy's brilliant. It was really good. So I recommend catching that if you haven't. And Trump said, you know, J.D. Vance started out and he badmouthed me all the time. Said really bad things. He goes, but he didn't know me then. A lot of people didn't know me then, he said. And he said we just struck a chord with one another, and he's always been there to stick up for MAGA and these policies. And he said we have a good chemistry. So that's it. And they do. You could tell when they were sitting there together, I was like, wow, this is much better than I thought it was going to be. I was really impressed. I think you will be too. So things are going really good. Now, the other things that is kind of bad for the Republicans, but also good, is, you know, we saw what Joe Biden did. But the bad thing is that it was really early. So that happened really early. Now that gives extra time, and you know, the Republicans had our convention before the Democrat one. So now the Democrats still have like almost 3 more weeks before they have theirs. It gives them a lot of time to iron this out, and now they know who Trump picked for a VP. And things would have been a lot better if the debate had happened like this week and Biden looked like that. Because then the Democrats would really be in a pickle. But, you know, that's Monday morning quarterbacking. You know, take what we got in a good way. And yeah, okay, well, now we're going to have to play a little more defensive. They're going to strategize more. And now it's, you know, they had picked J.D. Vance because he was going to do good against Kamala in debates. Now Kamala is going to be the presidential candidate. It's going to be Trump, who's going to have to keep his cool and not look like he's bullying a woman on the stage. I thought he kind of did okay with Hillary, but he's going to have to play it cool with the attacks. If he can just stay calm, level-headed, and let Kamala dig her own hole, because she will. She won't stop talking. And if she talks a lot and really is vindictive towards him at a debate, and he doesn't react with anger or angst, it's going to make her look like the bully. Because you have to remember, a lot of people don't like Kamala anyway. Because a lot of people know that she's out of California, and we know what California is. You know, Gavin Newsom just passed a law basically preventing schools from notifying parents, and they're giving safe haven. And you know, the friggin' Wiener, political guy in California, who is a pedophile, authored that bill. One of the people that authored it. So it's basically going to give a safe haven for pedophiles to have access to kids without having to tell the parents. It's crazy. So they're taking parents out of the equation from protecting their own kids in California schools. Pickup truck just did a little smoke show, which we got on video. Always something different on my walks. Somebody leaving a patch of rubber. All right, so that's the Kamala situation. Kamala Harris, by the way, raised a record amount of money in 24 hours, $40-something million. Trump really did. Trump set the record before that with 30-something million. So they just got a whole bunch of small dollar donations from people happy that Biden is gone. Now, what I want to see, okay, Because the Democrat voters, these young ones, they're all bigots. They profess to be, you know, equality and this and that, but, oh, you're Jewish? I hate you. They hate Jews, okay? They're anti-Semitic. Young Democrat voters are anti-Semites. There, I said it, because it's true. They demonstrate it time in and time out. This Israel and Hamas issue. And they were protesting and going after Joe Biden for supporting Israel. Well, guess what, folks? Kamala Harris is married to, his name is Enhoff. Okay? She doesn't use she uses her born as name, Harris. She does not use her marital name, which would be Jewish. Should be Kamala Enhoff. Mrs. Kamala Enhoff, okay? So these young Democrat voters are going to be voting for a black woman who isn't really black because she's Jamaican and she's Indian, as in from India, and one of her relatives in her family lineage was a slave owner in Jamaica. They owned black people. Now, the left has really tried their best to bury that, but if you go to fact-checking, the liberal fact-checking, okay, the ones that are supposed to say, oh, that's not true, it just says unproven, cannot verify, not enough evidence. That basically means it's true, okay? So that's what they're doing with that. And so she owned slaves, her family did, which is kind of funny because she's not African American. And a lot of people are saying, well, only racist people would say black people are African American. Well, that's what they've programmed us with, okay? That's what we've been programmed with. You have to say African American. You can't say black people anymore, okay? That's what they did. That's all we heard when Obama was president. African American president, even though he was born in Kenya, and I insist on that. I don't care if I'm called a conspiracy theorist. That's another one that has not been proven to my satisfaction. But anyways, so what else is there to talk about? I mean, geez, all the crazy stuff going on right now that we're going to have to deal with over the next 2 months. It's going to be crazy. Crazy, I tell you. So, she's Indian and Jamaican, and her family owned slaves. Very interesting. And here's the other part, okay? She's married to a Jewish guy, and guess what? Presumably, either because he's infertile or she's infertile, they adopted 2 Jewish kids, okay? So, and one of her kids is friggin' a spaced out friggin' liberal, looks like the same wasted youth problem we have today. Just looks like a really strange person, one of them. And so, there you have it, there it is. I mean, that's what they're going with. American voters are going to see right through her like nothing, because a lot of them do already. This is supposed to be like, you know, and we are going to see some suppression polls coming up, which does have to do with fundraising, mainly. That's why they do it. Trump explained that before. That's just what they do. If everybody's happy and content and they feel like the election's over and your guy's going to lose, they don't give the money. So, RFK Jr. would have been a better candidate than Kamala if the Democrats were smart, but the problem is he's not ownable. They don't own him. In fact, they did everything to screw him over, and they're still doing it because he's a threat to the Democratic ticket. Because he's going to siphon off more Biden votes than he will Trump votes. People that don't like Trump. So this is going to get really good. But right now, it looks like Trump is still in the driver's seat. He's got a decent lead. It's his to lose, basically. We'll see what the media cooks up. This is about the time you're going to see Gloria Allred come out of the woodwork with rape accusers. And that's just what they're going to do. So Trump is going to be attacked relentlessly. Because Trump cannot be elected again at all costs to these people. So we're off to the races, folks. Looks like it's going to be Kamala. I won't believe it until I hear Obama say it. When Obama says it, it's going to happen. Until then, there's a chance for an open primary. Half the delegates have not announced they're going to support Kamala, and the other ones were very quick to say they would. So the other half are being quiet. So we'll see what's going on there, for sure. Well, happy to be walking with you. All this stuff going on. We're going to have a great time this election, I feel. If Kamala is really their answer they're going to go with, I'm pretty sure that's not what the Democratic Party wants. The DNC does not want her. I know they don't. And I'm going to stick to the delegates. They're going to have... It's going to be interesting to see what the DNC does with forcing an open convention. They're going to have a lot of problems if they do that. That's really their problem. For the aforementioned reasons of Kamala Harris being the, quote, first black female president. Vice president, I mean. And how do you square that with the black voters? A lot of the black voters don't like Kamala. They'll vote for her, but they don't like her. Kind of Hillary syndrome, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of women that are like independent women mostly. They're like, the first female president is not going to be Kamala Harris. No way, no how. Cackling, airheaded bubblehead. A complete caricature of what people make fun of with ditzy, dumb California women. She's going to resonate about as well as pick any, like, from down south, ultimate freaking hillbilly yeehaw. That's about as good she's going to resonate with voters. People aren't going to vote for a Delbert Dumbbutt, and they're not going to vote for a dumb freaking female California, basically somebody who hasn't really accomplished anything. She hasn't done anything. She was on a presidential ticket for vice president. She's never, she was a senator. She hasn't passed anything. She hasn't done anything. She doesn't have any big accomplishments in California besides locking black people up for drug charges to pad her resume with. And that's something that was on the debate stage with the Democrats that Tulsi Gabbard really ripped her a new one with. She locked up a lot of black people for a long time on marijuana charges, 30, 40 years. 3 strikes, you're out. And she padded her resume at the expense of these people. And Tulsi Gabbard reminded voters of that. And she didn't even get 3% with black people after that. So the Trump campaign is going to be hitting on that stuff. I think they've already issued a TV spot commercial that's against Kamala. Because, you know, they kind of figured Trump had said, what, a month and a half, 2 months ago, that he didn't believe Biden was going to even make it to the election. He said that. We heard him say it. And he didn't. So, it's very interesting. So we'll go along for the ride. It's okay. Really don't know what to expect. Neither do you. We're in this together, folks. We're in this together. I do know that a lot of people still don't like Trump. And I know a lot of people don't like Kamala Harris at all. People that didn't vote for Trump. So I don't think this is a very good win for Democrats. And on top of that, they chopped the ankles off of their friggin' king that was in power. And they staged a coup. They got rid of Biden. And they used the donors. It's a monarchy, folks. Kamala Harris has been installed. It's not official yet. That's the other thing to remember. People are talking about it like it's a done deal. It's not. Not until they have their primary, not primary, but their convention. Just so you know. We'll see what happens between now and then. But regardless, they're going to have a lot of ground to make up. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. Now, today's FBI hearing, I was watching some of that. Not FBI, Secret Service testimony from Susan Cheadle, head of the Secret Service, testified today. And she was talking about, basically, she didn't really give any information. She skirted her way around everything. And I just want to take a minute to commend the Democrats that were at this meeting. They didn't turn it into a partisan thing. The Republicans didn't either. I think one Republican mentioned DEI, saying that the woman that was the head of the Secret Service was a DEI hire that is failing miserable. It's the only one that said that. About 4, maybe 5 Democrats took a lot of time talking about gun control and assault, military style assault weapons did this, trying to use that to convince Republicans, because Trump got shot, that we need gun control. And we all know why that's never going to fly with gun owners, because the Second Amendment doesn't care about assassination attempts. It's just a simple fact. They don't have that kind of reasoning like we do. They like to regulate things. She even said that this black congresswoman wants to ban guns. She even, what's that freaking, she's not even black, what's her name? Talita Shalib or whatever, you know what I'm talking about, Talib. She was talking about, she was talking about the making fun of Republicans for hanging on to this You know, the government can't be the only ones with the guns. And she was like making fun of us for that. And everybody afterwards used her video clip. So this is exactly why we have the Second Amendment. Idiots like this one. So the Democrats are the kings of irony. They say the dumbest things to actually promote conservative causes better than conservatives can, just because a liberal said it stupidly. So that was pretty brilliant. So anyways, I watched that. There was a joint letter from two ranking members, Comer and Raskin, one Republican, one Democrat, saying that the director of the FBI, not the FBI, Secret Service needs to step down. She needs to resign immediately. And I think the most important thing that happened today was we're getting more to the point of leadership screwed up. That's what screwed up. So it was, she said one of her people under her was responsible for the event. And I believe that person needs to be demoted or fired, and the head of the Secret Service needs to be fired. That's it, because the buck stops with the leadership. And one of the congressmen today brought up a very important thing. He asked her, he said, do you know what happened to the head of the Secret Service when Ronald Reagan was shot? She made some kind of comment like he kept his job and this and that, and he was like, nope. Ronald Reagan assassination attempt. He took full responsibility for it and he resigned. He did that for the sake of the country, to give people peace of mind that the Secret Service takes care of responsibility and will take ownership when something bad happens, so you can instill trust in the public. And she didn't know what to say to that. She seemed to be surprised by it. Now, if you do a background check on her, Susan Cheadle, she used to be associated in the food industry for a corporation, kind of a logistics manager. She worked for Pepsi, and she did a lot of stuff with Doritos and things like that. And one of the congressmen today said you ought to go back to working with Doritos. So she's definitely somebody that does not have experience in Secret Service and things like that. So she's a diversity hire. She's, you know, she's an appointee by Biden administration. And we're starting to see the damage that that causes. So it would have been one thing if she had been in the Secret Service for a long time, or government agencies, and had military training and had a resume for that. You know, so I'm not saying women shouldn't have that job, because I'll tell you right now, women are great business managers. Great managers. They think differently than men do. And they're good with that. A perfect example, you go shopping with a female, buy groceries, what happens? Every time. Every damn time, what happens? The guy just wants to throw stuff in his cart. Let's get out of here. I hate this place. She'll sit there, compare prices, read the ingredients. This is actually the better buy, and you know, and you end up being in the store 2 hours longer than you can stand, okay? But you end up getting better stuff. That's typically what women do. They're great at that. They're better business managers. It's just a fact. And but she's not good and suited for this job. She's just not. Period. End of story. Get out. She needs to go. And we've not seen female Secret Service agents on the detail with Trump ever since. that happened. They're not revealing why. They might be doing an internal assessment of employees. And it was made very clear today that they have enough of a budget where they are not skimping on personnel and how many people are working for the Secret Service. She said they're still hiring. They have plenty of manpower. They have the biggest budget they've ever had, of course. Billions of dollars, okay? So this stuff should not be an issue. Now, a glaring thing that happened today that people are talking about is one of her lieutenants gave a statement, and in his report, he states that the Trump campaign requested more assets for this rally and that they were denied. He said the Trump campaign was denied by Secret Service, namely her. She said the opposite. She said that that wasn't the case. She testified that under oath today. So Jim Jordan was all over that. And he said, well, it can't be one and it can't be the other. One of you is not telling the truth. So she got caught with that. And, basically she's trying to blame law enforcement. She's not taking any responsibility for this. And it's bothersome. And you could tell it bothered the Democrats today. Because a lot of these guys, some of them have armed security because they've gotten death threats. And her answers were just not good enough. And, nobody wants to see Joe Biden assassinated. I don't want to see Kamala Harris assassinated. Nobody wants to see that in this country. It's not who we are. So the Democrats were kind of impressive today with that they couldn't lay off the gun control stuff, but at least they were deeply concerned. AOC sticks out. AOC was telling her, you're going to take 60 days to complete this investigation when the election is in 106 days, she said. That is unacceptable. The reason being is, she goes, there's conspiracy. There's conspiracies running on the internet and everywhere else. And you're going to create more radical people who are going to retaliate to get even, thinking that this was planned, staged, whatever. And she was right when she said that. That's true. You have to have all this information out so people have it, so they don't get angry and upset. So AOC was jumping all over her with a very stern voice, saying, you need to get this stuff out here immediately. And she goes, I also think you need to resign. So you had both parties telling her she had to resign. Now, I'm pretty sure she's going to resign, and more Republicans were saying that Biden needed to fire her, while the Democrats are saying she needed to resign. So, but the bottom line is she needs to come out. And I think she will. I think she will. Secret Service needs to maintain the utmost credibility and confidence from the American public, and more importantly, the people they're guarding. You can't have Secret Service guarding your family, and then you're going to worry about things because of the lapses and decisions that were made at something else. So, pretty sure this is going to be remedied. It wasn't a big conspiracy. A lot of people really try to find stuff on the internet. I even saw something tonight that an advertising app tracked somebody in Crook's family through his phone, going to Crook's house and where he works, and also went into a building in DC near the FBI headquarters last year. Well, so what? What does that mean? How accurate is that info? Last year? Data tracking from a freaking advertiser is supposed to be evidence? Nah, that's not good enough for me. So people are trying desperately to find a conspiracy in this. It can't just be a lone gunman that looks like a 15-year-old kid with long hair. No, can't be that, can it? Well, yes it can, because the equipment he used was pretty amateur. This guy was not a good shot. And we have trajectory and ballistics, bullet holes made by the bullets. We know how many shots and where they went, and it came from one guy, okay? That's it. End of story. Now, what they needed to find out was, why did he have an IED? Why did he have an improvised explosive device in his vehicle? Which is another thing, because we had one report that it was a white van with Arizona plates. We had another report that said Crook's vehicle was a car. And they towed a white van that had an explosive device in it that belonged to the shooter, okay? So I don't care what the license plate was reported on it, that's what it was. The media gets so many stuff wrong now, it's crazy. So anyway, the remote control to detonate it was on his person on the roof. I think he was going to go ahead and assassinate Trump. He thought he was clever. He thought he was going to be able to get away. And I think he was going to blow up his van as a diversion, which it would have been. And he was going to slip into the crowd that was leaving, which he could have done easily. And I think that's why he was dressed the way he was dressed, in army fatigues and firearms pro Second Amendment shirt. We'll never know now, because I don't think they've found any information like that. And Trump was talking tonight in the interview. He said he knows for a fact that when the FBI is trying to crack into somebody's phone to retrieve something, it's encrypted. It's not an easy thing to do, and Trump explained that tonight. He said as president, he knows that, so I'll take his word for it. So it's not the FBI delaying and causing problems. So far, it has been the Secret Service, it's the ones that are not forthcoming with information. They're not showing transparency. They're dragging their feet. They're forcing people to be subpoenaed to show up because they weren't going to do it on their own. So she showed up, and they told her that. And they're already making themselves look like they're covering up incompetence. Because they are. Make no mistake, okay? The Secret Service screwed up. This needs to be fixed, period. End of discussion. She needs to be fired, probably some other people too. Problem is we don't have a competent president who has the authority to do that, to actually do that. And I think the Republicans seriously should have an inquiry about Biden, and also try to push the 25th Amendment again, because now I think they can legally, without looking like partisans, saying, you know, Biden is not healthy enough to run for president, so why is he the president for 6 more months? You know, he should resign, and they should put Kamala Harris as president. And I know a lot of people don't want that, but hey, it's only 6 months, okay? And she won't be running for president, and the Democrats don't have anybody else anyway, okay? The point is, people right now don't have confidence in the office. 6 months is a long time. A lot of bad things could happen with Chairman Xi in Taiwan, people trying to pull things before the election, and the press secretary saying we have a team of people in place to deal with things. Well, they're not the freaking president. They weren't elected. I don't care who you have to supposedly take care of things if an emergency happens. I don't. And also, the other world leaders, I think, pretty much know Trump is going to win the election too, because Vladimir Zelensky called Trump. They had a good talk. Boris Johnson also spoke with Trump. He still is influential with the party he's with in the UK. And so we got a long way to go still, but it's looking really good for Trump. Okay, let's just put it that way. But keep your foot on the gas. Don't be complacent. And don't let the polls this week tell you that Kamala Harris is tied with Trump or she's ahead by a point, or don't fall for that. They're going to do that. That's to raise money, because it works. Oh man, we got a chance to beat Trump. I'm going to give up my dollar menu, $10 this week. I'm going to donate it. You know. So Trump just needs to stick to the issues. The issues is what's going to win this election this time. People don't have money. Inflation. You know, and they're still spewing the same lies. Biden created 15 million jobs. No, he inherited jobs off the pandemic that came back, because Congress had passed that package of extending unemployment benefits, and a lot of people just sat at home collecting unemployment for about a year almost after the pandemic. So those people went back to work. Those were the people that they were talking about. So that's, between now and then, you're going to have the media all on the side of Kamala Harris, all the propaganda, that big media machine. And I'm listening to some of these people on TV saying, geez, I don't know, Kamala's going to have this big media machine. What, the same media machine that has the lowest ratings in history because people have figured out that they're propagandists and bullshitters? That media? So websites like X for free speech and things like that. Mark Zuckerberg saying he's going to play neutral. I don't know what he's going to do on Facebook or his platform. I think they're still suspending people, but he says he's not going to get involved in the election this year because he's interested in the AI stuff that Trump wants to do. And they understand that if the Republicans win Congress, which it looks like they will, and the Republicans win the Senate, which it looks like they will, and Trump is the president, which it looks like he will be, that they're going to be pushing AI because Trump wants to be the leaders in the world in that. If anybody's going to lead with that, it's going to be us, basically, is his attitude. America first. And so we're going to see big changes in this country. And people like Elon and Mark Zuckerberg make their money with AI technology. They're burgeoning this new technology. Pioneers of it, whether you like Mark Zuckerberg or not, that's a fact. Same thing with Elon. And so this does a lot of things, like potentially it's going to help people that can't walk, have spinal injuries, have implanted devices in their body where they just think about it and they'll start walking. And that's going to be a huge thing for people. That's a big deal. And we should support that. Just this stuff always ends up getting used by the military for evil. That's what I don't like. But anyway, we'll worry about that when we get to it. So when the dust settles, you know, we'll start seeing some real polling, maybe in about a week. But they are going to do that for this weekend coming up, so be ready for that. CNN's going to be on there talking about how finally we get somebody that can beat Trump. Or, you know, CNN's been pretty realistic lately. They were criticizing what they're doing with Kamala today. I was surprised by that, saying that it's a coronation. You know, this isn't what the voters want. So CNN, I think, has been told by their CEO to start playing this down the middle, and that started with that debate against Trump. I'm pretty impressed. We got to stop dehumanizing people and beat them on issues, topics, and having discussions rather than, you know, accusing people of being dictators. So, all right, let's get it going, man. Let's go. Let's go. Too big to rig. We're gonna make this too big to rig. You know, if there's somewhere where Trump has a 1% deficit or has a 1% lead, you know, a place like Michigan, a 1% lead is not big enough, okay? You gotta have 5 points, 4 points. And we're talking about tens of thousands of votes difference. You know, 1% is what Trump had, I believe, in 2020 in Michigan. And he lost Michigan by 10,000 votes. So that was definitely cheatable by cheating, okay? Pandemic emergency ballots. You had Gretchen Whitmer as the governor and Secretary of State for that state, who basically worked for her, and they rigged the election. So this time Michigan just passed a law saying that you cannot do any recounts unless the Secretary of State overlooks it. So they want complete control of ballot recounts, which is suspicious, okay? It is. But if Trump wins Michigan by 5 points, or 4 points, they can't cheat enough to fill that up. And people need to understand that, okay? To do that much cheating, you will get caught. And they're not going to do that. So you had Wisconsin last time, Milwaukee. They snuck in a bunch of votes there. And that's another state that Trump lost by 10 or 15,000 or something. So, you know, it's not... it doesn't take much. You have to have a big lead. And if he has the lead he has now, especially like in Pennsylvania, he's really up in Pennsylvania. That is definitely, you know, you lose Michigan and Pennsylvania, you've lost. That's it. We don't use the popular vote in this country. And Trump may very well win that. Wouldn't they crap a brick over that? Can you imagine Trump winning popular vote and a 303 electoral college vote electoral landslide as well? Oh my God, the world would end, it would explode, wouldn't it? But with the lead Trump has right now, today, if they had the election today, Trump would win with a 303 electoral college vote landslide. And the popular vote, maybe. So I don't know how you feel about that. But we need to stay focused. That's the important thing. For sure. I'm gonna ride it out, man. Ride it out. We got celebrities that used to support Biden now supporting Trump. We have rock musicians supporting Trump now. Rap artists supporting Trump now. Trump's got more black vote because Trump now has credibility. He's been prosecuted and found guilty in a crooked system that black people have cursed at for decades as being unfair. And now they see even Trump, this rich ass son of a bitch, will be taken down by that same system. Now they have made Trump one of them. And that's what we're seeing. And I'm not even sure that the polling companies still know how to determine what the silent majority is. There are still people that won't come out and say they're supporting Trump. But I think a lot more of them are. And I think that's going to catch on if people do that. So, it can be interesting. Very interesting. All right, we've got a car pulled over up here. Don't know what he's all about, or she, he or she, or they, them. So we'll walk by here. I usually don't see people parked there like that this time of night. So we'll see. Oh, I hear a raccoon fighting, or a possum or something. Yeah, they're screeching pretty good. Looks like a 4-cylinder, sounds like. Listening to the radio, sounds like. Maybe there's an important sports event going on and they're so stressed out they need to get out of the house. Sounded like some kind of broadcast they were listening to. So anyways, friends, thank you for walking with me and listening to my babble. On my woods walk yesterday, I did not know that Biden had stepped out. I found that out after I got back. Saw that my brother had texted me. Oh. I knew he was coming out. He didn't want to come out. He wasn't planning on it, but they forced him out. And what did I say on my walk? When the DSC wants something, the DNC gets it. That's why I say they don't want Kamala. So I think they're going to look at the tricks they can pull and get away with their voters. And you'll know when first person to watch with that is Barack Obama. You'll know what's going on with him. So watch what he says. That's the guy to watch. Oh. I hear some creaking. I hear some creaking in the woods. I heard some cracking branches. I don't see any deer. I don't see any deer. I heard him though. I heard something heavy enough to crack branches. It's either a person or a deer. I don't know, folks. I definitely heard one. Heard a deer out in the weeds. For sure. All right. Anyways, as I was saying, as we see a beautiful moon in the sky up ahead. Look at that. I'm sure you won't see all the detail I do, but it's got a little bit of strip of a cloud in front of it. It's got a nice yellow-orange look. It's big. We just had a full moon yesterday. It was the buck moon. The buck moon. Heard something in the woods. That was actually an acorn falling out of a tree. And bouncing on the branches on the way down. Now we're coming up on 5.5 miles. Very nice night tonight. Most enjoyable. So, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Keep an eye on Barack Obama. That's all I'm going to say about that. Very importante. He's very important. I think he's been orchestrating this entire presidency. Just hit 5.5 miles. I'll sign off up ahead here. I want to thank you very much for walking with me. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of the week. And we will see you on the next walk, folks. Have a good night. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.